Hey guys, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and today, if you've got $100 burning a hole in your pocket, then I'm gonna tell you how to spend that on 10 plus home gym items that I actually use. Let's do it. Okay, so one of the most important parts in a home gym is being safe, and you're training alone most of the time. Also, it's really nice to do heavy dumbbell press. But you probably realize the most annoying part of doing a dumbbell press is deadlifting it up onto your knees and then going back and then getting out of the hole for your first rep. Actually, when I was in FIBO in Germany at the rep booth, testing out the rep-ins, I almost hit my face with the 110 pounds because I was trying to get that first rep and I couldn't get it up and it like came back and then I had to get the next one. This solves that issue. Actually, I thought these were a gimmick at first. People kept recommending them to me. Freaking love these things. These are called the Mad Spotters. These are the 2.0s. I'll tell you, give you a short review here in a minute, but this is how they work. Basically, you take a barbell, smooth machine, some straight bar. I actually use these in a different way too, which I'll talk about in a moment, but you put these on there. Then you take your dumbbell, these are 100-pound dumbbells, you take them, you set them on the hook. A lot of people are gonna be asking, do these work on adjustable dumbbells? Just depends on the adjustable dumbbells. I have found they can work on ones like pep-ins or the new rep-ins. The caged ones like power blocks, they can work. They just get kind of hard to put in there. I don't know. You can rest them though on the outside sleeve. They work for new bells too. The other thing is because they're wired, if you have a smaller handle, all you really have to do is you can bend these in so they fit. But huge benefit, you can already tell, just like with a barbell, you're suddenly starting at the top of the rep. So you can lock into the bench and then take it. So much safer, also allows you to end a rep. You can drop them or just bench them. Then when you're done, re-rack. I think a question a lot of people have is does it feel awkward when you use it with this? I'd say generally no. It definitely feels more awkward than you would use without it. I don't use these when, say, I'm doing dumbbell flies or something like that. If it's light enough, I don't want to deal with this. This is really if you're doing heavy press with dumbbells, which a lot of people like doing. But if you don't have a spotter at your gym, honestly, doing it with really heavy weight like this that most of you can't lift, but I can, is really unsafe for you.
This video is brought to you by Element. I've been using Element for the past year or so. Element is an electrolyte sugar-free drink mix. Basically, it's salt, flavored salt that you put in your water. It tastes very good. They now have a bubbly version that tastes even better. Basically, it's a great option if you want to drink something other than sugary drinks. You want some benefits from electrolytes. Basically, the way I use Element is at the end of my day or midday when I'm starting to get tired. Basically, this is a good pick-me-up. Once I take this midday, I usually get out of the midday slump and then I'm able to keep working or training. But I've been using Element for over a year. I'm a huge fan and they now sponsor the channel. If you'd like to get your own free sample pack with any Element drink purchase, you can check out the link below, like button, go through there. It has an exclusive offer for you where you can purchase them. Also, try these. These are very good. Whether you buy them or not is your choice. It's the choice of a new generation.
There are other things you can use these for though. The primary use would be this, but there is another use for them. Let me show you. You can take a J-cup, put it to the side of whatever you're using. So let's say here. You then select your weight, put it where you'd like, put your cable handle on, put this on the J-hook, and then pull your cable handle up, place it, and suddenly you can start at the top of a rep. So if I was basically on a seat, top of the rep, and then finish it at the top. Vastly better, you just can't do that. If you're holding the handle, you can't use a J-cup in that way. There's really not another way to mimic this. And it's only 70 bucks, which I'll actually say, 70 bucks is kind of overpriced for these. I think it's a little bit more expensive because it's just wire. It's got nice plastic on here, which basically this is probably just dipped. So not that expensive. This is a better version than the original version, which had plastic. These are the 2.0s, but this is so thin. The box stitching is a single box stitching through the middle. It's okay. So this is the best version that I've seen yet, but I'd really like to see a bougie version or see these get cheaper. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, that first one is upper body. This next one is lower body. This is the squat harness. This guy has been on me like stink on rice. white on rice, stink on poop. To review his product and talk about it. Honestly, I've had this for a while. I could not find a use for it. Here, I'm gonna show you really how it's designed to be used, how it's marketed, and then I'm gonna tell you how I've been using it. I will say, he did say if I talked about this, he was gonna cut his hand off and send it to me in the mail. I kid you not. So I'm expecting that hand in the mail here soon. But let me show you how he basically designed to be used, and then I'll talk about how I use it. The materials on this are actually pretty good. He's using nice neoprene, nice webbing straps. He's also using Cobra clips, which are these. I think these are actually an off-brand, which would be nicer if they were the real guys, but they're very expensive. They're just very quick clip-ons. The carabiners and everything are all metal. They're just easy to move. But this is how he designed it. Basically, people that have a functional trainer, this allows you to do squats with a functional trainer. A functional trainer that goes further to the bottom, you're gonna have more benefit because you're gonna be able to get deeper. Also, if you stack blocks up, it's gonna be better. This is more just for informational purposes, and I'll show you how I use it. So then you can basically step in here and do squats. Now, there's a few problems you probably noticed real quick. This is, let's make sure that, okay, it's at the bottom. There's like no travel, right? Like you're not able to get deep. Also, you have to start at the bottom of the rep. I've seen some people come up with like some hacks where you can start at the top of the rep. Generally, in that use case, I don't like it. But what I've been using it with, and I know a lot of other home gym owners have equipment like this, like a belt squat. This thing feels fantastic and honestly mimics kind of a hack squat in some ways with a belt squat. So on my Rogue Rhino, I'll basically put these together, put them in the middle. I can then start higher up because you're able to unlock, you got the Rhino horn, they call it, basically the J hook. And then you can go into it. These upper straps feel really good. Lock this in, and then you can basically hold here. Another way I've been using those on the Vitruvian, another one where you can overload the eccentric, so I'm able to get to the top of the rep, no problem. And then on the way down, just real slow, as deeply as I can, feels fantastic. So the way that they sell it to be used, I think it's okay for people that only have a functional trainer. It's an okay compromise. I just don't love it for that, for my own training, but I have been using it in the ways that I described, and it's really well done. Now, you'll look on their site, these are a little bit more than 100 bucks, but they do sell an option that's a little bit cheaper. So this is the version 3, their best option, but they have cheaper options too. I actually recommend this if you'll use it in that way. If you're gonna use it on the functional trainer, you gotta decide that. Okay, this next one is strap focused. A lot of you guys know I've been getting more into hypertrophy and bodybuilding work. Because of that, I've started to wear fugly shoes and walk around like I'm carrying a box. But I've also been using straps. And one of the reasons I've been using straps is because Dr. Mike Israetel has absolutely influenced me. These are Versa grips. These actually, when I first saw these online years ago, I'm like, those things look freaking stupid. But these allow you to essentially take your grip out of the movements. So ordinarily, your grip is one of the things that fails when you're doing pulling exercises. These allow you to no longer have that problem. So you wrap these around the bar and then use this grippy fabric that's on here, which Sam brought this out. It kind of feels similar to what you'd use to like open a can or a jar. You know, you like put this on, usually it's circular. So you could also double them up for that. They're anatomically correct, so you have a right one and a left one. They also come in beautiful orange, but you wrap them around for pulling exercises and then hold like that. And they grip like no other. So you just feel directly connected to it and it feels vastly better, in my opinion, than like the traditional strap that you have to wrap around. Use those for Olympic weightlifting, which is great, but for bodybuilding type stuff, these are better. I will say, people will ask like, why don't you train your grip? You just use your grip. Because if you want to train your grip separately. Don't train your grip necessarily. I know a lot of people like to do that. If you like to do that, that's fine. That's what I did for years. Basically now, I've been using these and I'll just train my grip separately if I want to work specifically on my forearms. Really, when I'm doing a lat pull down, I'm not trying to train my grip. I'm really trying to train my back. So this just allows me to focus on that better. I know a lot of people love these, so shout it out. But another option are these. These are from Iron Bowl. These are literally half the price. They don't feel like half the quality. These are made in the USA. They're the original. They're the ones who created them. Iron Bowl is definitely copying them. They're making them overseas. Definitely a worse product, but not vastly worse. Definitely not half as good. So for a lot of you, this is probably the better option to go with if you don't mind, you know, where they're made and the fact that they kind of copied the idea. So if you want the originals, go with VersaPro. If you want something that's cheaper, these iron bolt ones work well too. Okay, this next one is probably one of the only products from Prime Fitness that you can get for under $100. This is the Prime Rotate Short Bar. There are many bars out there that are similar to this. I know Darko has one, Gympin has one, there's others. This one has some unique features with the cutouts so you can easily move the location. But this is one I've had for years. I've started to use it more, especially on rows. You can use it for lat pull downs too, and they make a long one. This width is the one that I've been using most often, and you can attach different handles inside of it. These are just an ab mat like quarter gymnastic ring. That's what these are, but you can put rotate handles, you can put really any cable handle that you want in there. One thing on this, you can notice, basically it's shortening your potential cable length pretty far. You've got here, and actually the carabiner that comes with it is even bigger. So I put a different one on there just to get closer to the stack. But basically it's gonna potentially prevent your stretch depending on how tall your rack is or how tall your lat pull down is. This allows you to sink in really nice and rotate all throughout the motion. It feels really good. This length I think is best for rows. The longer bar I think is best for lat pull downs. I don't use the long bar as much. I use this one. Part of that is because my lat pull down is the Prime, and this, it's kind of funny that the Prime piece, it just doesn't really work well on the HLP, on the single stack, because it's not tall enough. But I really like this piece. I will say, I've seen a ton of copycats on this on Amazon that are much cheaper. They even use the same green. It's gotta be so annoying to Prime. But there's other options too, like Gympin and Darko, which we would like to get in and review as well. But this concept is really nice. And another feature you can use it for, if you have like two cable stacks, is you can connect them together on either side and then turn this over, connect here, and you can use that for a single lat pull down or low row, kind of like what you do with the Airs. Let's go to the next one. All right, so something all of you have or should have is a pair of collars. Use them constantly. I think the most exciting release this year for collars has been these so far. These are the Titan Twist Lock Pros. They're knurled goodness. We did a full review on these. I actually really like these. They have magnets so you can put them on the rack. They work in a different way than just about every other collar, but this allows you to place them on. And if you have competition plates, very nice because they'll cinch up right next to it. Just that nice boop. And then when you untie them down, hold the sleeve and then twist. And then when you want to take them off, boom. We tested it with how much weight it could hold. Holds dynamically really well. And then also statically held over 135 pounds. So did really well, but really easy to use. Twist on, twist off, take them off, put them on the rack. Everybody should have collars. There are so many good collars out there. These aren't necessarily the best holding ones, but just from a design standpoint, I really like these. These are the Elite FTS Easy Straps. You're like, what are those? These are a chain loader, or you could use them for a band loader. So basically, if you're doing bench or squat, they're such a length that you can easily add tension, accommodating resistance. If you add chains either to the bottom or any of the three, depending on like what you're doing. For bench, I typically do the top ones. Squat, you'll have to go lower, or depends on the length of your chain, but then allows you to have accommodating resistance in such a way that allows you to maximize the amount of load at the top so there's not a ton of chain hanging, but do it in such a way that there's still some hanging so that it's not just free floating and flying all over the place. These are pretty cheap, like 60 bucks. Really well made. They're sold by Elite FTS, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're made by Spud Inc. because they're very similar, like style and strap and everything. They are very heavy duty. Elite FTS has been using these at their gym, Dave Tate, forever. I mean, they're gonna last you a really long time. If you're gonna use chains, this is definitely the way I'd use them. Another option though is basically a hammock strap. There's companies that sell them specifically for lifting and they sell them for more, but you can just use a hammock strap. They can hold a lot of weight. That's another way to do it, but I really like this one because it's just easy on and easy to clip on. Okay, this next one is a slant board. There are a ton of slant boards out there. There are better ones than this. I'd say the best ones that I've used have been Prime. Also Rogue, they're using diamond plate, just really grippy, or they have a grippy top. This one is one that I use a lot though, because I don't just use them for training, also use them for just sitting in the bottom of the squat. A lot of people probably have good enough ankle mobility that you don't need something like this for just sitting in a squat. I don't, from years of playing hockey. But what I'll do is oftentimes when I'm reading just throughout the day, is I'll just put them in my office and just sit here. If you look at the populations that squat the most, typically Eastern countries, they have the least amount of hip disease. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that they're constantly sitting in squats. They're constantly just hanging out in this position. So my ankle mobility, over time, I've used less and less of a slant board, so getting it down. But I really like this one because it's soft. This is a more flexible one. This one's from Wedgie, so it compresses a little bit. If you're using really heavy loads, like get a metal one. Slant board guy is an option. He makes a wood one and a metal one. Another one is Prime and Rogue. Those really are my favorite. They're very expensive, but Prime does have a nice wall mount. Rogue's actually mounts into the rack with like a 1-inch hole post. Really good design, but I like this one because it's light, easy to move around. A slant board, I think at this point is almost essential for most home gyms because of how cheap they are. This is one I would get if I was using it inside or not using heavy loads, but like I said, there's other options as well. Okay, this next one is one I've recommended in the past. Cheap option from a company called Kensui, who makes the Kensui weight vest, which is actually a weight vest we talked about a long time ago. It's plate loaded, but they make these handles out of the similar plastic as they're using within their weight vest that basically allow you to put it on top of a bar and do a neutral grip. But they've come out with a lot of different options and improved them based upon some of our feedback. So now they use plastic or rubberized on the inside so it doesn't affect your powder coat. Also, they added a small carabiner hook on the version 2 so you can use them on like a lat pull down or like a functional trainer. One reason I like these for that is most handles today rotate, because if you're using it for like cable flies, that feels good. But I'm not only doing cable flies with single arm work. A lot of times I'm doing single arm lat pull downs as I still am trying to get a single arm pull up. Man, it's taking a long time. But these really help you in doing that because your grip, it's not like you're having to work against a rotating surface. Work really well for that carabiner cleat. Also, strap on real quick. I actually use these all the time, and the reason is because in my office, right above my desk, I actually have a pull-up bar. And sometimes when I'm doing hangs, I'll just put these on for a neutral grip. Work really well for that. But they have a bunch of options now, a bunch of like changing angles. They actually have these pieces that go on, strap in the middle of these, and then change the angle so you can do like a 30-degree angle. Honestly, I won't use these. They just get lost at my house. But they also now, they've taken like the mag grip or prime handle type idea, and they have a paddle option, which basically just, I mean, if you've ever used a paddle for pulls, like it just takes your grip out. Feels so good. Actually eliminates a lot of straps. Like you don't really need straps when you're using paddles a lot of times, and they just feel good. So if you want to use those for pull-ups or use them for pulls, you can as well. But real quick, I'll show you how quick they are. So you can just take these, put them on a pull-up bar, and then do neutral grip. I know a lot of people look at them and they're like, plastic, I don't want plastic. But the plastic is nice because they're lighter, makes them cheaper. Also, they can hold a ton of weight. Do weighted pull-ups on these, over 100 pounds. No issues at all, hardly any flexing. Also, they're knurled, and it's a it's a good knurl for pull-ups. It's not overly aggressive, actually adds good grip, feels good. I mean, for how cheap these are, I use these all the time. Another way I'll use them, just as I was thinking about it, is for steel rows. So one thing I'll do is I'll set up a bar and then have a bench up against it. If say I'm doing it at an angle, put it on the bar. You don't need a camber bar, and then you can get a full stretch all the way up without the bar hitting the bottom of the bench. Just different options that I think a lot of people aren't thinking through that you can add these on, and for a really cheap price. So highly recommend it. Okay, this next one is not one that I actively use, but in the past when I've had a shoulder injury, I have used these. This is a slingshot from Barbell. So many of you guys have probably seen these, use these. I'll kind of show you how they work. Basically, it allows you to do kind of what like triple ply bench is. It basically allows you to have a supported bench. So at the bottom of the rep, when it's the hardest, it removes so much of that tension because it's basically a strap across your chest. The amount of that this guy has sold is ridiculous. They go on really quickly. Honestly, it's the same material as you'd use with like a knee strap. They make them so they've got these cutouts here. If you want to like really helps pull them up all the way. You kind of want to wrap them so they're a little bit around the elbow, kind of just in the middle there. You can get different sizes and they have different strength levels. Doing really lightweight with this, you really need something just like with a bench shirt. You need enough to like help you get down. So that matters, but we're gonna show using the Mad Spotters. You take them out, at the top of the rep, there's really no assistance. but then when you come down, bring it to the bottom, you feel a ton of assistance out of the hole, just like that. So you can use them on dumbbell bench. You can also use it obviously on barbell bench. Honestly, for like day-to-day use, I don't use this. The reason being, if I'm doing bench, it's not just for strength work or just testing lockout strength or trying to get through sticking points. I'm not a competitive powerlifter. I'm doing more hypertrophy work. Because of that, this is actually poor for hypertrophy. Reason being, when you're at the longest stretch, it actually gives you the least amount of tension when you want the most amount of tension at that long stretch. So because of that, like for hypertrophy work, I wouldn't recommend it. But for those of you that are power lifters and want to work through sticking points, or somebody that has like a shoulder injury, like these feel really, for benching, there's a lot of people that just really can't even bench without like some sort of assistance. This is something that could be helpful to help rehab in back to training. But for day-to-day training, for a lot of you, like, I don't know if I'd recommend it. Okay, this last one is one that I freaking love. I use these all the time. I know a lot of you guys do too. I just want to show some of the options. These are pins. These are 1-inch pins if you have a 1-inch hole rack. There's also a lot of companies that have 5/8 inch. Actually, all of these companies I think do, except for maybe Oak Club. Basically, these are magnetic pins that you would use to hold things in. So whether it's something like a leg roller or a J-cup, or maybe your Aries functional trainer arm or something like that, these allow you to hold something in and do it quickly, or say your jam arms and do it safely. So they go in and stick. There's a few different options. This one is from Surplus Strength. I really like this option. Made in the USA, also has magnet on the tip. They're a stronger magnet now, but these are a little bit more expensive. These are $65 for a pair plus shipping. The most expensive option, and really the best option, is the original option. These are Oak Club. Oh, these are just so nice. These go in. Oh, they're beautiful. They're aluminum now. They used to be stainless steel, but still just very nice. And they have that nice, just machined Oak Club logo. Looks sick. Nice knurling on the outside, but definitely the most expensive. For most people, I think the best like price value quality option are these from Fringe Sport. These are their mag pins, magnetic on the inside. Also, you can spin them off and you can actually take the magnet out. It's kind of cool if you ever need to replace it or something. I don't know why you would, but you never know. But these go in really well, and they offer something that really nobody else does, is they have this cutout here for a cotter pin. So if you want extra safety, because say you have kids running around in your gym constantly pulling things out and like, what's this? Trust me, it happens all the time in my gym. But they magnet just like that. So also aluminum head, anodized aluminum, different colors, that gold I really like, and then have the knurling too. If you don't have these in your gym, they're getting cheaper and cheaper because more companies are coming out with them. Right now, these are probably the option I'd recommend, but I've replaced all of my traditional like tractor pins with these, and they are glorious. Okay, there's 10 items, $100 or less, that I would recommend generally. Depends who you are. Some of them are just like, ah. What do you think of them? Are there any specifically that you like, or are there any that you'd recommend in addition if we do a future video? Let me know in the comments. It's been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.